Hello YouTube, my name's Nero, and today we have some Call of Duty Black Ops 2 Zombies in this week's episode of Dear Nero, which of course is the weekly series here on my channel where subscribers send me in fan mail and or fan questions, and I must go ahead and answer them. To cover on the gameplay, with Dear Nero I like to try and change up the gameplay now and again. I try to make it so it's something different kind of every single week, and I figured it's been a very long time since I played any Black Ops 2 Zombies, so let's fire up the Xbox 360, which I rarely have to turn on anymore these days, and let's start playing it. I gotta say, it was kind of weird getting used to the controller again. After playing with the Xbox One controller for so long, going back to the 360 controller for me anyway it's kind of difficult, so forgive my aim, I suppose. But yeah, just playing some zombies, it was a lot of fun, and hopefully you guys will enjoy the gameplay as we go over this week's questions, which are pretty good, so we'll hop into these. First one, he's gonna write, Dear Nero, I saw your tweet on Twitter about the silver play button. What I'm wondering is, will you get one in the near future, or is it too late to sign up? Codgo619 from California. Of course, that's Codgo619 that you guys may remember from DNA Saturday as well as Chemstrike Saturday last year. So what he's talking about is actually this tweet right here that actually says I'm an idiot. So I was thinking to myself just yesterday, it's like, you know what, man, I'm like over 300,000 subscribers now, and YouTube's yet to send me the silver play button. If you don't know what that is, it's basically going to be like this. Here's a picture of someone else's. It's basically like a plaque thing they kind of send you. It has your channel name on it and stuff like that. It's basically just that. It's a silver play button that you hang on the wall, and they give it to you for having over 100,000 subscribers. I was thinking to myself, man, it stinks that I don't actually have that thing yet. But then I realized I never actually signed up for it, and it's actually weird because they hide the thing. Because right there on like the side of my YouTube channel, it's like, here's channel tips, like, oh, make your channel for gaming. Here's how to make a gaming channel, and all these other random tips and stuff like that. The code was hidden in there. There was a code in there that I had to copy and paste to be able to like sign up for this thing that I'm eligible for. It's like, okay then, but apparently, yeah, I'm still gonna be able to get it. It's not like I was too late for it or anything like that. It's gonna take 4 to 8 weeks, I think it said, something along those lines, and then it'll just be shipped here, and then bam, I'll have a silver play button. That's pretty cool. They also give out a gold play button, which is much bigger for having 1 million subs, but I suppose we'll cross that bridge if and when we ever get to it. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, since the Black Ops 2 campaign had different endings depending on what the character does throughout the story, how will the Black Ops 3 campaign continue the story then? Fisher from Washington. So Fisher, it's very simple. You can continue the story. It would be hard. A lot of people think, they're like, wow, it'd be hard for them to be able to continue that, because there's, I believe, 6 different endings for Black Ops 2. The easiest way to continue that is for the Black Ops 3 story to really have nothing to do with any of the characters that were affected by the outcome of Black Ops 2, right? So you don't have anything involving Woods, you don't have anything involving Menendez, you don't have anything involving, what's her name, that girl, you don't, it's been a while since I played the Black Ops 2 campaign, but you just basically don't have anything involving those people in their campaign, right? They said maybe so far into the future that all those people are dead and it's irrelevant, or how that's going to go down, I don't know, but there are 6 different endings. I haven't even seen all the endings, to be perfectly honest. I should probably do that. I got my ending, and I suppose it's okay to talk about my ending because Black Ops 2's campaign is very old, and it's one of 6 possible endings, so I don't think it'll be a spoiler. The ending I got for Black Ops 2, which wasn't a good ending in my opinion, and I was kind of disappointed. I'm like, oh man, I made all the choices. I like games that allow you to make your choices, because like, this is what I would do. This is my own tailored experience, you know. But the ending kind of stung for me. Menendez showed up at the vault and killed Woods, and then he went and I believe killed himself or something along those lines. I'm like, that's a crappy ending. I want Woods to live. Apparently there are endings for Woods to live. He's like my favorite character in the series, so it stinks that ended up happening for me. But there's endings where he can live, there's endings where he can die. It's all really kind of changes based upon the little random decisions that you make throughout the game, like where are you going to shoot this person, or you know, things like that. So it's kind of interesting. But yeah, they could do it. It just, it's going to be difficult for them. But the way they should do it is to make it so that this game doesn't feature any of the characters that were affected by the multiple outcomes. You can still have the characters that aren't affected by the outcomes, but the ones that either live or die based upon your choices you made in Black Ops 2, I don't think they can include those characters in this next game because it wouldn't make sense for some of the player base. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I know you're talking about the Atlas Corporation versus the Sentinel in your Black Ops 3 wishlist video yesterday. If you guys aren't aware, I'm going to jump in here. Yesterday I was talking about how I kind of want them to break the faction line within these games and make it so that Black Ops 3 is basically a game that has World War II features, Vietnam features, as well as futuristic features, and just don't care about the sides that you're playing on. And you'll be learning about the sides throughout the rest of this question, so let's continue on with that. And it inspired me to ask you something I've always wanted to ask for a while now. What is your opinion on the different factions or teams on multiplayer? Call of Duty Ghosts as well as Advanced Warfare have only had two, being the Ghosts and the Federation for Ghosts, as well as the Sentinel and the Atlas for Call of Duty Advanced Warfare. And I found that I eventually got bored of hearing the same old voices announcing everything. Every game before this had 6 faction teams. Modern Warfare 2 comes to mind, having the Navy SEALs, Task Force 141, the Militia, the Spetsnaz, the OPFOR, and the U.S. Army Rangers. If I just now made you realize this and ruined your experience with Advanced Warfare, I apologize, but I just wanted to know your opinion. Ethan from Illinois. So Ethan, that definitely does not ruin my experience with Advanced Warfare, knowing that there's only 2 factions and only 2 voices that I hear. One's for the Sentinels, one's for Atlas. I don't care. I personally don't care. Like I said in my Black Ops 3 wishlist video, I wish they would just kind of get rid of the entire thing, because that way they don't have to try and make the game anything like the campaign. If you guys don't know, that's what Call of Duty multiplayer is really about anyway. What they do is the maps, all the maps, except for maybe some DLC maps, or even most of the DLC maps are this way, all of the maps in Call of Duty multiplayer are based upon different areas of the campaign. And the 2 sides that are fighting on that particular map, say it's the SEALs versus the OPFOR, that's because in that particular mission of the campaign where you were at that area that map is based on, you were playing as the SEALs and you're facing the OPFOR. So those are the 2 fighting forces there, and they try to make it basically like little skirmishes from the campaign. That's what multiplayer is in Call of Duty, if you never realized that. And I never thought that was really that great of a system, because there was really no role playing going on there. Especially, I remember back in Call of Duty World at War, which I would do a little bit of quote unquote role play, I suppose, in my head, where depending on what team I was, I would only use that faction's weaponry, which I thought was actually kind of fun. So for example, I would have 4 SMG classes. If I was on the US Raider, like if I was on a particular map and they happened to put me on the US Raiders side, I would use my Tommy gun, and I would use like a 357 Magnum as a secondary. If I happened to get put on the Japanese side, I'd run around with my Type 100 and my Nambu pistol. If I were put on the Germans, I'd use the MP40 and I would use the Walther. If I, of course, were the Russians, I'd use the PPSH and the Tokarev, right? That's how I would play it, and it was actually kind of cool playing that way, because I don't know, you kind of get into it a little bit more, because of course you're playing like on Macon Atoll or something like that, and you're playing as an American running around with a Tommy gun, and there's Japanese soldiers. But you think about it, a lot of people didn't do that. I did that, but most people didn't end up doing that. For the most part, you would see a Japanese guy running around with a German submachine gun, or you see a guy jumping off of a cliff or something like that, trying to do a 360 no-scope as an American, trying to shoot you with this Russian sniper rifle or something like that. A lot of it didn't make any sense, right? The whole faction-based thing, it really doesn't make sense. There's not a whole lot of roleplay that goes on in Call of Duty, so I say just get rid of the entire idea of factions overall, and make it so in Black Ops 3, if they do decide to go with this storyline, which of course we all know they're going to, but this is what I hope they would get, because it's part of my wishlist video, I want them to make Black Ops 3 a game where there's a lot of time jumping, including World War II, Vietnam in the future. And they feature elements from all these time frames in the multiplayer itself. Like, I don't care, have a World War II map. Have a World War II map set in freaking Stalingrad, but allow us to run around with our futuristic M8A1 gun or something like that and call in our napalm Vietnam kill streak. I would just throw all of it together in the same game. Who cares if it makes sense or not? Because people aren't there to roleplay Call of Duty in their head and pretend they're an actual soldier or anything like that. They're there to run around and shoot people and level up and progress. That's what I feel is what Call of Duty is, and I think a lot of people can have fun that way. I think it'd be pretty awesome if they were to do that. So no, you didn't ruin my experience by letting me know that Advanced Warfare only has 2 factions, or Call of Duty Ghosts didn't have 2 factions, because frankly I didn't know this, nor do I really care. I mean, the only differences the factions actually make is the sound of the announcer that's going to be talking to you, so it doesn't really bother me too much. Next question, he rates Dear Nero, as most of your subscribers know, you're a Borderlands fan, and Borderlands the pre-sequel recently came out. Recently. It wasn't that recently. It's actually been out for quite a long time, actually. But I want to know what you think about the closing of 2K Australia. Do you think that this will affect the sales of games later to come out by 2K, such as Borderlands and BioShock? Parker from Florida. So Parker's right on this. I actually talked about this on my Let's Play channel. 2K Australia, shut down. And if you don't know 2K Australia, they put together Borderlands a pre-sequel. They were also pretty famous for putting together a lot of the BioShock games. They worked on BioShock 1 and 2 as well as BioShock Infinite. So they've been working with a lot of these games, and they put together Borderlands pre-sequel. It's weird that they're being shut down. I don't know how exactly that's going to affect the games that are actually out. Like, will they actually be continuing the BioShock series? One would assume that they will because BioShock has a big fan base. Of course, I haven't played BioShock. I played a little bit of BioShock 1, couldn't get into it after half an hour, never really played again. But I know there's a lot of other people out there that really like playing the BioShock series, and, you know, they played BioShock 1, they played BioShock 2, they love BioShock Infinite, and I don't know if there's, like, some kind of cliffhanger or something happening with Infinite, but I would assume people want a new BioShock game as well, just because people love that series the same way I love the Borderlands series, right? And Borderlands, a pre-sequel, while it was kind of a letdown for me in terms of the end game, it was fun to go through the story and whatnot, and I wonder what the DLC is going to be like, because of course Borderlands always puts out a ton of DLC. What's the DLC going to be like now that 2K Australia no longer exists? Is that DLC already made and is already like kind of pre-packaged, and they're just kind of time gating it and making it so we're going to have to wait a while before we can actually access this DLC? How are they doing that? Is there going to be DLC? Is Gearbox actually going to start working on the DLC? What are they going to be doing with that, right? Me personally, like, I know some people like BioShock, and that stinks, man. I hope somebody can actually put together a new BioShock game for you guys, those of you guys that are fans of BioShock. But for me, as a Borderlands fan, to the Borderlands fans that are listening to this video, I don't think we need to worry too much about 2K Australia shutting down, because I feel as though there's going to be more DLC for Borderlands, a pre-sequel, coming in one way or another. And since this is actually the first time 2K Australia has ever actually worked on a Borderlands game, I don't think it's going to affect the series, all right? We know Borderlands 1 and Borderlands 2 were made by Gearbox. Borderlands, the pre-sequel, was made by 2K Australia because Gearbox wanted to focus on some other things, and one's going to assume that if there is going to be a Borderlands 3, which the ending of Borderlands pre-sequel kind of hints towards that, no spoilers, then one is going to assume, right, one is going to assume that Gearbox will be working on Borderlands 3 and 2K Australia wouldn't have been involved in the first place, so that stinks, man. A lot of people are without jobs. Hopefully they can find jobs somewhere else. I don't know what else to say, man. Gaming studio got shut down. That stinks. It stinks for just about every single person involved. And the reason it was shut down is apparently because they were really far away and to kind of cut costs, I suppose, for 2K, which I don't know, man. I don't know. Definitely stinks for all those people involved. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, I have a question for you about all the consoles that could start a conversation. Okay, so I have a Wii U, and I have been enjoying it a lot. Have you ever considered getting one to play the Nintendo IPs and possibly upload to Nero's Let's Plays if Nintendo won't be their usual stuck in the 80s selves? Also, I want to know your first and favorite console of all time. Thanks, Woody from Northeast England. So, Woody from Northeast England. This isn't going to spark too much of a conversation, but my first console was a Sega Genesis, and I would play Sonic the Hedgehog and George Foreman's Boxing and Street Fighter 2 on there, which was a whole lot of fun. Was it Street Fighter 2 that had Skate in it? Because Skate was my favorite. He was this little guy that you ran around and he had rollerblades on and he would just start kicking people. It was one of the Street Fighter games. Might have been 2, might have been 3. It's been a very long time, of course, since I played my Sega Genesis. But yeah, that was my first console. My favorite console of all time, I would say, is probably the Xbox 360. Keep in mind, I've owned a Sega Genesis, a PlayStation 1, a PlayStation 2, an Xbox 360, and an Xbox One. I've owned in total 5 consoles, and in terms of just sheer all the great games that were there, as well as just the amount of time I put into it, I'd say the Xbox 360 is my favorite console of all the ones that I've owned personally. Now, have I ever considered buying a Wii U and so I can play some of the Nintendo IPs? The only Nintendo IPs I would actually be interested in, I've looked at these, right? The only things that I would personally be interested in from the Wii series that would kind of be exclusive to it would be Mario Kart. That's really the only thing I would want to play, and I'm not going to buy a console and the game itself just so I can play Mario Kart, especially when I'm not going to be uploading any of it to YouTube, especially over on Nero's Let's Plays, because Nintendo is a bag of dicks. All right, Nintendo is a bag of dicks. They're going to be implementing that Nintendo tax where you have to sign a special contract with them just to upload Nintendo products to YouTube, where they take 40% of the money, not counting YouTube's cut, right? So the YouTuber's going to get shafted with nothing. Nintendo has just been universally horrible to YouTubers across the board. They've been like that just ever since YouTube has started, for the most part. Personally, they've kind of gone after me, or at least the Pokemon Company has gone after me by taking down the #1 Pokemon Ruby video on YouTube, which of course was posted by me, posted on my Nero's Let's Play channel. If you typed in Pokemon Ruby, it was quite literally the first result that would show up, and it got a massive amount of views as a result of that. Well, the Pokemon Company decided to take it down one day just for really no reason. They actually gave absolutely no reason for them taking it down. So when I actually submitted a counter notification, the video got put back up right away, but now that it's taken out of the search results, and now it's got that all on there. They personally attacked me by giving me a copyright strike for that exact same thing. It was kind of an ordeal. The strike, of course, is gone, and the video is finally back after 4 or 5 months, but but it's Nintendo and Pokemon just taking down that kind of thing, right? With the things that Nintendo's doing and then the things that the Pokemon company are doing, it's like I don't want to post anything involving Nintendo because quite honestly, the only thing I've ever played with Nintendo products is Pokemon, right? I wasn't one of those kids growing up. I wasn't one of those kids that grew up playing a Super Nintendo, right? I didn't grow up playing on a Nintendo 64. I didn't grow up playing these Mario games. I didn't grow up playing Donkey Kong. I didn't grow up playing any of that. The only time I ended up really playing was Pokemon on my Game Boy Color. I had a Game Boy Color and I played Pokemon on it. That was the only thing. So I kind of feel fortunate in some respects that I don't have like this crazy nostalgia for Nintendo products and this love of all the different intellectual properties that these guys have because they're a bag of dicks. Nintendo is a bag of dicks when it comes to YouTubers and I don't want anything to do with them. So I'm not going to be posting any more Pokemon videos on my Let's Play channel as much as I would like to because they are just horrible, horrible people, right? They will randomly just flag down a video for no reason. Do you want to know something interesting, actually, about them taking down my Pokemon Ruby video, which once again is back up if you guys want to watch it. It was one of the very early videos I posted on my channel. It was posted back in 2012. They actually took down my Pokemon Ruby video, which was the #1 Pokemon Ruby video on YouTube, but it's not anymore because they took it down. They did that one day before the release of Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. Just a random person. Actually, I know the name. It was Kim Warren was actually the person, and she actually works for the Pokemon company. But you can research that kind of thing. She took it down for really no reason one day before the release of Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. And I think the reason for that is like, oh, well, maybe the story or something would be spoiled or something like that. So what they did is they just went through and they deleted like the top videos in the search rankings on YouTube for Pokemon Ruby and Pokemon Sapphire, like the original games. That's what they did, just because they're a bag of dicks. So Nintendo and the Pokemon Company are a bag of dicks, in my opinion, and they're not going to get any promotion from me. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, do you become irritated when people say that you might be gaming too much? Sincerely, Luca from Croatia. Wow, Croatia, that's awesome. So, do I get irritated when people say I play video games too much? I used to, I suppose, but look where it's gotten me. You know, gaming is now my livelihood. Gaming is something I do every single day, and gaming is freaking fun to me. I enjoy it so much. I look at the people, right, that would say, oh, all he does is play Call of Duty, or he plays video games too much, or, you know, he doesn't go out enough. I see the people that would make those criticisms, right? And mainly you see that kind of thing in high school. And you see where those people are now compared to where I am now. It's like, it may seem arrogant, but it's true. It's true. I'm in a very good position. I enjoy myself, and the people that would just make those kind of critiques, the people that would make that kind of criticisms on me and trying to judge me based upon the hobbies that I have and what I like to do with my spare time, those people aren't doing so good, right? Those people aren't doing so good. Gaming is an awesome hobby. For those of you guys out there that I'm sure most of you enjoy gaming if you're watching my channel, don't ever feel bad about the fact that you enjoy playing video games. Just don't ever let video games get in the way of your real life. Don't let it get in the way of your school. Don't let it get in the way of your relationships, be it with your girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, whatever it is you got going on. Don't let it get in the way of that, and don't let it get in the way of work. You know, work, school, relationships, right? If those things aren't being affected and gaming is something that you do in your spare time and you do it just for fun, then gaming's a great thing. There are people out there that let gaming kind of consume their lives, but gaming can be just like anything. You know, if you let something kind of try to fill like a hole in your life, then of course it's going to kind of take over for you. Same way drugs and alcohol can. I guess gaming can do that. Television can do that. Exercising, I guess, even can do that. Anything really can if you just do it way too much and you kind of lose control of it. But yeah, gaming's a great thing. You just play video games and you have fun. And it's actually using a lot more brain activity than partying or watching television and stuff like that. So it's actually, in some respects, I guess, a little bit good for you. Next question. And this one is freaking amazing. It's not really so much of a question. Well, I guess it kind of is. But this is a great theory for Call of Duty Black Ops 3. Hopefully you guys sit back, relax, and enjoy this, because I thoroughly enjoyed reading this, then doing some research. This was a really cool theory, and it could quite possibly be the setting for Black Ops 3. He writes, Dear Nero, I think I figured it out. Dr. Salem is a Nazi doctor in World War II Germany who is attempting to create super soldiers. Following the end of World War II, the world agreed that research from Nazi scientists was acquired in an unethical manner and therefore should never be used in modern science and medicine. Fast forward to year 2035-ish, some nations acquire Dr. Salem's research and begin to implement his findings and create super soldiers. The United States has no choice but to do the same in order to combat such a new foe. Additionally, new technology is used in parallel with Dr. Salem's research that leads to such a soldier that we see on the projected box art of Black Ops 3. Hope this helps. That seems like the most logical explanation from all of these Snapchats. What do you think? And this person did not leave his or her name. Bravo. I feel as though that is an amazing explanation. It would make so much sense because so many people thought, this looks like they're making super soldiers. Ever since the very beginning, people said they're making super soldiers. That's what's happening here. But then at the same time, when you look at the Snapchats, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense because that does not look like the future that the Black Ops 3 is supposed to be set in, right? It doesn't look like that at all. So it's entirely possible that what we're seeing is actually from Dr. Sam. It's also entirely possible that what we've been seeing from this stuff is also from zombies or something along those lines. It's entirely logical. It makes a whole lot of sense. Of course, we don't know until the actual reveal itself, but I love your theory, anonymous person who did not leave his or her name. I bet you wish you would have left your name in here, or at least the name of your YouTube channel or something like that, because, that's a very good theory, and you came up with it, and I like the theory a whole lot. It's definitely something that could be used, right? There was a lot of experimentation by Nazi scientists under World War II, some terrible, horrible stuff, horrible, awful, awful things, and one of them could obviously be for putting together super soldiers. It definitely makes a whole lot of sense, and then, of course, they don't try to actually use any of the stuff that these Nazi scientists did because the way they acquired this information was just such horrible, horrible practices by just torturing and killing so many people. Horrible stuff going on there, so it would definitely make a whole lot of sense. I definitely like this theory a whole lot. There's really nothing else I'm going to say about this besides that theory's freaking awesome, and I want to hear your guys' opinions on that in the comment section below. Next question, he writes, Dear Nero, as a YouTuber yourself, what YouTube channels do you follow and do you have a favorite? From James. I'm not going to say your last name because I just feel that it's weird to say people's last names, give people full names on the internet. Something about it just weird to me. So, as a YouTuber, right, how I got into YouTube was watching YouTubers. How I got into YouTube was by just watching them and wanting to do it myself, right? And I still, to this day, watch YouTube. Some people say that Twitch is the new television, right? A lot of people like to watch Twitch a lot more than they like to watch television. And the same thing with YouTube. Maybe you watch more YouTube than television. That's where I'm at. I watch YouTube more than I watch like TV or Twitch or movies or anything like that because it's just more interesting to me because it's revolving around video games for the most part and it's all stuff I enjoy. Channels I watch. So channels I watched when I first started watching Call of Duty videos. There was like Hutch and Grizz back in the day when they were posting up montages, which Grizz doesn't really post a lot anymore and Hutch doesn't really do Call of Duty anymore, so I don't really watch either one of them a whole lot anymore, but those are people I watched a ton. Wheeze Gamertag was one I watched a bunch along with Wings of Redemption, but sadly both of their channels have kind of, I don't know. I don't think their channels necessarily died. I think they both just kind of gave up on YouTube, and now they basically both just post podcasts, which I guess they're both good podcasts, but still, it's like, I kind of missed it when you guys actually did videos and stuff for the most part. That was pretty cool. Although Wings is starting to make a little bit of a comeback now, so who knows. FPS Russia or FPS Cow, however you want to look at it, definitely some awesome videos there. I like Total Biscuits. I like Wow Krendor. Wow Krendor's sense of humor is hilarious to me. Jesse Cox, of course, is hilarious. I like Rumi. I've been watching his videos for years now. He actually used to use some of his music in my videos, and I like watching his comment songs and his covers of things. They're definitely good. Drifter, of course, is very informative. Just a very good YouTuber in general. Review Tech USA, these great news, short little videos, nice little news clips that you probably want to hear about on other websites and stuff. I definitely like that. Preach Gaming is good. Hickok45, it's just fun to watch him shoot cunts. If I'm feeling like getting into Pokemon, or because even though I won't post Pokemon and stuff like that, I still enjoy Pokemon. That was my entire childhood, and watching Jay Witz's videos, especially his top 10s, definitely a whole lot of fun. There's a lot of other YouTubers. I'm not going to go on too long with this. I definitely enjoy YouTube, and I watch a whole lot of it. I replace television and movies basically with YouTube. It's just something I really like. Next and final question. He's going to write, Dear Nero, so Black Ops 3 is announced for reveal on the 26th of April. That is actually the 29th anniversary of one of my favorite interests, which is actually Chernobyl. Do you think this is a coincidence, or do you think they're hinting at something in the storyline? Alex from Portsmouth, United Kingdom. So Alex, I didn't think that was actually right, but it turns out it is. I looked it up, and that's actually the anniversary of the Chernobyl incident. Now, I think it's unlikely that this is actually going to be something relevant within the campaign. I feel as though it's probably just a coincidence, and I'd say that for this reason. Chernobyl, Pripyat, the Ukraine, the incident, all of that stuff, right? That was always such an undertone, and just it was a big feature, I suppose, of the Modern Warfare series. You look at Call of Duty 4, which of course had a ton. The opening line in Call of Duty 4 is talking about Pripyat. 50,000 people used to live here. Now it's a ghost town. They're talking about Pripyat, right? The Chernobyl nuclear reactor 4. You look at Wasteland, and you go watch my top 10 videos. Oh my goodness, my top 10 Call of Duty maps video video, here's a spoiler, one of them is Wasteland from Modern Warfare 2. And what's cool about that is in that section of the video, I go over all the history that Chernobyl and the Chernobyl nuclear power plant and the incident and Pripyat and all that stuff, all the stuff that like happens within the Modern Warfare series. I go over all of that in that video, and it just all ties in so perfectly together. But that's something they've always done in the Modern Warfare series. Now, given the Modern Warfare series is essentially over, unless Infinity Ward wants to go back to it, which I doubt they will, the Modern Warfare series is over. That trilogy is done. You know, Captain Price and Soap and all those people, the story went from Call of Duty 4 to Modern Warfare 2 to Modern Warfare 3. That story is basically finished, right? And I don't feel as though, now that that's over, that the Treyarch, the Black Ops storyline, is going to pick up with that same kind of theme involving the nuclear reactor 4, involving all that stuff. It just doesn't make sense. You know, it's too much of a staple within the Modern Warfare series for them to really try and change it and add it to the Black Ops series. I feel as though that's just something they wouldn't do. It's like, I don't know, that's like having Captain Price show up in a Treyarch game, or having Woods show up in an Infinity Ward game. It just doesn't make sense, you know, for me anyway. So I feel as though it's a coincidence. Of course, we don't know if it's a coincidence. It's entirely possible. It's entirely reasonable, I suppose, as well, to think that perhaps Chernobyl and the Chernobyl incident and all that stuff is going to be involved somehow with the Black Ops 3 reveal, because of course it's coming out on the anniversary of the thing happening. But I just don't know, man. I don't feel as though it's going to be there. I feel as though it's a total coincidence. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is this week's episode of Dear Nero. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. And if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel it deserves. A little bit shorter this week, but that's okay, because we got Snapchats and things like that to cover. So we got lots of stuff with Black Ops 3 to cover, and that's what I'm going to try to do here on my channel. So we made this one a little bit shorter so I can get time to start researching and editing and doing things for other videos as well today. So regardless, I still hope you guys all enjoyed this video. And if you did, please be sure to leave a rating where you guys feel it deserves. And if you guys would like to submit your questions for next week's episode of Dear Nero, simply send me a personal message here on YouTube. All you really need to do is go to my YouTube channel, go to the About tab, go to the Send Message button. Apparently, there's ways to also send messages on mobile, but I'm not entirely positive how you do that. So figure it out, ladies and gentlemen, and submit your stuff. And if it's a good question, you may just be featured on next week's episode of Dear Nero. Once again, hope you guys all enjoyed the video. And if you did, please be sure to leave a rating. Hope you guys all have a wonderful day.